Yo, I like my hat, my gangsta hat. No, gangsta hat. Anyway, um, this is my fourth video on other parties besides Republicans, Democrats, so third parties. This is a party that I just looked up and read platforms and whatnot about. I actually like this party. This is the Reform Party of the United States of America, the Reform Party. It was founded by Ross Perot. People who are informed in it. There's a lot of information. Sorry. There's a lot of information about it. They have a website. I'll link the website in the link below. Seem to be pretty centrist, conservative. I write down things I liked about them so that I can read off of it. I know. But some of the things I like is they are anti-special interest groups. They are for campaign financing and reform. They are for a lot of various different types of reforms. They're anti-special interest. They don't think that. Well, I'll just read things I wrote about. They are for health care for all Americans, a health care reform. They are for a balanced budget. They are for the line item veto, the president having a line item veto. They are for government accountability, congressional accountability, voter identification laws, voter ID at the polls, campaign finances. Some of their campaign finance things they are with is that when holding in political office, you should not be out campaigning to get money. Because it's a conflict of interest for you to be not doing your job and also you should be doing your job, not out, having rallies and stuff. It's for campaigning. They are for fair tax. They are actually against the property tax. They are for fair taxes. So they're probably pro-income tax. And they might be against sales taxes. I'm not sure. They want a fair tax. It's both fair for the corporations and the people. They're all for all kinds of medical and healthcare reforms. They do want healthcare to be for everybody, but they don't want the government to be involved in it. Pretty much, they do want the government to be involved in it to a degree where it's financially affordable for all Americans. They are for jobs. They're very pro small business, so they're against bigger corporations. They're not totally against bigger corporations, but they are more for small businesses and major corporations getting along together. So they're more local businesses and small business oriented than major businesses. They are for fair trade deals. When it comes to trading with other countries, they are for fair trade. Not for fair trade, not necessarily free trade. They are for all kinds of lobbying reform. They don't think that ex federal employees should be both. They don't think federal employees should be allowed to be lobbyists while working for the federal government. They also don't believe ex-federal employees should be lobbyists. They don't believe politicians, past or should be lobbyists. They don't believe lobbyists should be allowed to give any freebies, lobbyists should not be able to buy politicians' meals, take them on trips, whatever. They believe that they're really against lobbyists and lobbying in general. They want a whole lot of accountability for the politicians and the lobbyists. They're really government accountability to the people. They're very pro on that. They are against, like I said, free stuff and gifts. They're against foreign influence in America. They're more nationalist, sovereignty nation is over globalist. Um, they are big on financial responsibility. They want to make sure that the taxes that are collected fairly, equally, and are just enough to pay the bills that the government uses. And they believe in balanced budgets. They believed in letting the people know where the money goes. No secret funds. No budget where we have a little. Oh, this area is for unnamed funds or stuff of that nature. They're for ethics within government. Basically, the Congress and federal employees should be held to the same standards as the citizens. Pretty much, that's what that's. That they're for education, and their education, I believe, would be, since they want to give the people more power over the politicians and the government, they probably would be for school choice, school vouchers, where you get to decide where your kid goes to school. Which means they might be against abolishing government-owned schools, but they'll probably stick with government paying for schools. That's something I would like to see happen. Government pay for education, but government not control education. By control, I mean the government should not decide what the curriculum is, and the government should also not decide where your child goes to school. You, as parents and as students, should both decide where you go to school and what your curriculum it will be. So the Reform Party, in general, is they're pro-security, they're pro-nation, they're pro-constitution, and they have no stance when it comes to the social justice and stuff like that. They literally don't take a stance. They believe that that's a personal issue, I guess, and shouldn't be a political issue. They are for national security. They are for the Constitution. They're nationalists, and they're pro the military, the police, anything that we need to protect both our country and our country's citizens. So they got a lot of good stuff, the Reform Party does. It's pretty good third party. It doesn't get enough shout out. It doesn't get enough talked about, I guess. But it has come down in history to be the biggest political party since probably the biggest political party that was created by its own person who was running for president and came in with the most electoral votes, because he actually got one electoral vote. Ross Perot did when he was running. He got a big, huge margin and a big, huge percentage in the popular vote. Now, historically speaking, that's happened before with third parties, but these were third parties that were basically, they weren't really third parties. They were more like a president or ex-president. For example, the Bull Moose Party was one that was done by Teddy Roosevelt, and there was another time when a president or someone running close to be. There was other times when parties pretty much kind of split, and they didn't have the system we do now, so they didn't have the main two-party system and the same rules that we do play nowadays in the past. So sometimes there would have been two of people of the same party running for president, because they didn't have like official nominations and things like we do now. But anyway, the Reform Party is it's a got a lot of good stuff. I mean, I like that party. Honestly, Donald Trump used to be part of this party. A lot of Republicans actually are very pro on the reform. The only problem is the reform can't get big recognition as much because even though they're the first like major modern party, I mean, Constitution Party would be close. They would be pretty okay with the Reform Party. Libertarian Party, I don't know if they would be that great with the Reform Party. I know the Green Party would not. Green Party is would not like the Reform Party. To a degree, the Green Party would have some things in common with the Reform Party, like campaign financing and political reform and financial reform and tax reform and healthcare reform. They probably have some in common with that. But the Reform Party is a pretty good third party. I mean, but it's being swept under the rug, it seems like, by some of these other parties because it doesn't get a whole lot of hype. Now, you can look it up on YouTube, and there's a whole lot of videos about history and stuff of the Reform Party. And I will leave a link in the description of the website to the Reform Party in the description. And remember, God is good all the time.